Hey guys, John Rettinger with john4lakers.com here, and I want to give you a review of the T-Mobile Sidekick. I've had it for just about a week now, and want to share my thoughts and feelings on it with you. But before I do, let me show you a hardware overview of the device. Alright guys, so before I get to the review of the device, I want to give you a tour of the hardware since it does have some very unique features about it. So at the front, you've got a 3-line menu button. Push that, menu pops up, and you can navigate with the scroll ball. You've got a speaker grill right here, which is surrounded by a 4-way D-pad, which is another way for navigation, which is very nice. And then you've got a jump menu, which is 5 or 10 little circles right there, which takes you back to the main screen where we are right now, from anywhere you are on the phone. You've got a X button, which will close whatever program you're in, and a back arrow, which will back you right back up. And you've got a green send key and a red end key, surrounded by the very familiar trackball, which is found on Blackberries and Sidekicks for generations now, going back to the Sidekick 2. On the top of the device, you've got 2 shoulder buttons used for games and serving various functions throughout the different programs. You've got a mini USB port and a nice addition of a 3.5mm headset jack to take advantage of the media player capabilities of the phone. On the bottom of the device, you've got a plus or minus for volume and a power key, and wouldn't be a Sidekick unless it had the cool swivel. So all you do is push down on the upper right hand corner, screen swivels right out, which is very nice. Got to make sure you pull your finger away, otherwise it'll get stuck. And there it goes and opens up. Now every Sidekick has had the swivel device, with the one exception of Motorola's Sidekick Slide, which was very short-lived in T-Mobile's lineup. So guys, I just wanted to give you a real quick hardware overview, and let's go talk about the phone. Alright, so now that you've seen what the device looks like, let me go ahead and talk about it. First, I had a Sidekick 2 way back in the day, probably about 5-6 years ago. So I was relatively familiar with the Sidekick line, but I haven't had one since, or really had a chance to play with one since. My initial impressions of a Sidekick were always, it's fun, it's great for IMs, maybe a little bit too kid-friendly for me. But I really have to say, after a week of using the device, I am incredibly impressed with it. The OS is a little cartoony, and it is, a little kid-ish, I suppose. But what the phone is capable of far exceeds most smartphones. While it does max out at edge speeds, the browser is quick. The browser renders full HTML web pages. Email is very quick and seamless and fast. Contact management is nice and easy. SMS is nice and easy. MMS is easy. Really, everything on the device is right at your fingertips. It really is a piece of cake. I'm still increasingly impressed with the phone. The more I used it, the more I got to like it. The phone, like I said before, maxes out at edge speeds. And obviously, T-Mobile coverage is going to vary upon your location. But where I am, I have full T-Mobile coverage, and call quality was fantastic. Users on the other end reported a slight white noise in the background, but nothing that impeded them from hearing me at all, and I could hear them no problem. Also, the speakerphone on the device is quite loud, so if you use speaker quite often, you will not have any trouble at all with the phone. I found myself really enjoying the flip-up mechanism of the device. I sitting there playing with it while I was while I'm at work, or playing with it really just during the day and flipping it up and playing with it and slipping it back down. Really makes the device unique in my opinion. The full QWERTY keyboard on it is actually probably one of the best QWERTY keyboards I've used. And that's saying I've used the BlackBerry Bold, I've used the Curve, Samsung Epics I got kicking around here. I've used a lot of phones with full QWERTY keyboards, and the Sidekick has its reputation for a reason. And the reputation is just of a fantastic, easy to type keyboard. They're made of raised plastic, and since the keyboard is in landscape, there's much more room to space it apart. And it's a full 5 rows too, with a separate row for numbers. So let's go ahead and move on to navigation. Navigation is done with this simple roll ball, and it really becomes intuitive very quickly. You can push the ball in to select. There's a back button right below it. You really get a chance to, you feel like you've used the device actually for a while after only using it for a few minutes. One thing that the younger crowd might like are these customizable shells. So you can pop this right off, put on whatever color you'd like. Here they came with a blue one. See the SIM card on the back. This shoulder part pops off as well. Put on whatever color you want. You can actually order your own custom shells from T-Mobile.com, and a few weeks later they'll show up right in your inbox. So guys, I really am still so impressed with the phone. You have the ability to sync your contacts and your calendar wirelessly with T-Mobile's online service. The organizer is really full featured. You can set reminders, set dates, and sync it wirelessly. Really a lot of features that other phones don't have. If this thing had true push email, it may really be a competitor for some of the big smartphones out there. I think the toughest thing that it has is its reputation of being more a kid-friendly messenger device. And that's not really so much of an issue. I mean, while it does appeal to a younger audience, it really has features that the business crowd might like. Size-wise, it's really nice and thin, fits very nice and easily into my pocket. Let me give you a real quick size comparison of the device. Go ahead and move this down here. So here is the T-Mobile Sidekick. We'll bring in the iPhone here. You can see it's a little bit longer, but definitely narrower. That on top of each other. Some other devices you might be looking at. Talked about the BlackBerry Bold a little earlier. Go ahead and bring that in. Let's bring in the Sidekick and compare it with the BlackBerry Bold. Notice it's much thinner, much narrower. And here is the just released BlackBerry Storm. It's actually a little bit thicker than the Storm. Definitely narrower. There's another side view of it for you. Camera back up here. The device is really pocketable, and you hardly ever even notice it. Speaker volume is loud. The vibration alert on it is loud. Really everything on the phone exceeded my expectations. Increasingly impressed with it, like I said, probably a million times already. So guys, T-Mobile Sidekick, out of my 5-star reviews, I really give it a solid 4.5. I don't give many phones 4 or 5s, but very impressed with it. If you're in the market for a full-featured QWERTY phone and you're on T-Mobile, you owe it to yourself to go check it out. If you're thinking about switching carriers for another phone, before you do, go to T-Mobile and definitely check it out. Highly recommended. Alright guys, I'm John Rettinger with John4Lakers.com. Be sure to go check out the website, www.john4Lakers.com. And if you want some exclusive content, be sure to follow me on Twitter, www.twitter.com/John4Lakers. Alright guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye-bye.